Hello and welcome to the North America Gaelic Football Podcast, the home of Gaelic football here in North America. I'm your host, Gareth McAlinden, along with our co-host, Limerick's finest, Connor Green. Before we get started, quick shout out to our sponsors, Masita, who have been the official sponsor of the USGA since 2017. Masita do have a couple of club specials going on at the moment, so if anybody is interested in getting involved with them for the upcoming season with jerseys, gear, polo shirts, well, you name it, they'll be able to put a package together for your needs. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Ben Ewing and Tom Brady. No, not our famous number 12 from New England, but Tom Brady from Dublin. So, lads, what's the crack with you? How's everything going?
All good. Thanks for having us.
Great, guys. Thanks for having us.
Well, yeah, let's just kick it off. Ben, if you want to just start us off there, just talk to us a little bit about your journey of Gaelic football, where it all began and where it all lies now.
Yeah, sure. Like I said, I've been with the Cougars since 2019, so this would be my fifth season. And, I picked up the sport. That was my first year playing. I got introduced to it by studying abroad in Ireland during college, spent a semester at Trinity College. And, never really played, was able to get to a couple games, went to Croke Park, and, always thought it was, a great sport and be fun to check out at some point in my career. Back in 19, I found the club online, reached out to them and started playing, and kind of fell in love with the sport right away. So it's been a fun challenge. I grew up playing soccer, played soccer in college here in the US. So to kind of transition to a new sport has been a really fun experience for me, and, kind of get to know a bunch of the guys that play here and be part of the new community. So it's been a blast.
Tom, what about yourself?
Just firstly, just so you all know, with Ben, he's actually one of the first guys on the team sheet for us. He's an excellent player, and I found that with guys who have played soccer or basketball, those skills are very transferable to Gaelic football. But Ben's his speed and his footwork stands out so much for us, and the tackling as well, which actually surprised me. But it's not like he's making up the numbers for us. Ben's he's one of the first guys on the team sheet, as I said. Just wanted to say that. But my journey started with Na Fianna in Dublin. That's my home club in Glasnevin, and I would have played hurling and football equally all the way up at underage. And I represented Dublin senior hurlers for 7 years, from 2006 to 2012. And then I was with the Dublin senior footballers from 2013 to 2016. So 4 years with the footballers. And then 2 years after that, it was June 2018, moved out to LA. So I'm here nearly exactly 5 years. I've been with the Cougars for all that time.
What brought you to LA, Tom? Just curious, now that's quite the move there.
Yeah, it was a work opportunity. It wasn't on my radar, but I worked in construction and property development back home in Dublin, and it was just an opportunity arose with a property developer out here in LA, and I came out for a few days just to check it out. Really liked it. Went back to Dublin, and I thought, geez, there's no way I could move out to LA. I was 30 at the time, but I just, when you have a kind of a good feeling, and it didn't go away for a couple of months, so I just said I'd go for it, and that was it. So they're actually Irish lads, are the guys who own the company here. So there was that bit of connection from Dublin as well. So yeah, really enjoying it so far. Yeah.
Can you talk to us a bit about the Cougars now? Because you're not around for too long. Am I right in saying that? Was it around 2018 that the club started?
I think the club, Owen Gagan, our club president, might give us a scolding after this, but I think the club started in 2015 after some of the guys who used to play for the Orange County Geese, but were kind of more Los Angeles County based, split off and started doing their own thing just with, travel here in Southern California. It's not always easy to fight the traffic on the 405 to get down to Orange County. So some of the boys started their own club, and it's kind of grown since then. So again, I think 2015 was the first year as a club, and what started off as they might get 5 to 10 guys at training. We now routinely get 30 to 35 guys every week at training, which is just great to see.
And that's just men. That's not. Is that like the ladies as well, or is that just all men?
That's just men. Yeah. We don't currently have a women's team. About 3-4 years ago, some of the ladies who were associated with the club started their own team called the Mulhollands. And I think, with COVID, and it was tough to kind of keep momentum up. So I don't believe they're playing this season, but the goal is to try and support them and make sure that they can get back playing hopefully next season or, beyond.
150 community members and 60 registered players. So all men. So yeah, we've gone from strength to strength the last couple of years, even particularly this year. We've, I'd say 15 new registered players. So for some reason this year we've a big influx. But it's with the Cougars, the inclusivity with Americans and other nationals is very important for the strength of our club. We've Italians, we've English, Americans, obviously, and some of our American players are our strongest players. As I said, Ben, and our goalkeeper is American, one of our other defenders, and one of our other forwards, Curtis. They're some of our strongest players. So I think that helps, the growth of the club here in LA.
I mean, 60 registered players. That's phenomenal. Not many clubs, you look at obviously the big cities like Boston and Chicago and San Francisco, even Philadelphia. Some of them clubs, senior clubs, are not getting those numbers, registered players. So that's, testament to you lads for what you are doing. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what are you guys doing for, recruiting new players? Are you guys hitting colleges, high schools, social media, networking groups? What's kind of your go-to?
I think our president, Owen Gagan, has done a really, really good job of kind of leading from the top in terms of making sure that the club is really well organized. We've got a full board of 6, I believe. Kind of each person has their own job, and one of those members is head of recruitment, a gentleman named Patty who works for us. And, he's kind of constantly thinking of different, creative ways to get people to come out to even try the game just once. So, obviously it's easier to get Irish guys involved. And now that the club has been around and is fairly established, when new guys come over from Ireland, it's not too hard to find the club, and there's probably a pretty good chance they've already heard of us. But in terms of trying to get Americans or, anyone else around LA, we've done events such as on St. Patrick's Day, we hosted a bar night, and we're literally passing out flyers. There's an Aussie rules team here in LA called the Dragons, who we've done some kind of shared events with to try and get some of those boys over. And a couple Australians have now started playing with us as they've, kind of got to know the football side and have really enjoyed, kind of playing both. And some of the guys even gravitate, frankly, more towards playing Gaelic as opposed to Aussie rules. So I think just in terms of kind of trying to be creative in different ways to, get our name out there, whether that is social media or in-person events, the club's really put a lot of emphasis on the recruitment side.
Ben, have you ever heard of the international rules that they used to do years ago?
I have, yeah. A lot of the guys who play on the Aussie rules team have lived in various places in Asia, and they've talked about the international rules, and it sounds like a pretty funny experience.
Yeah. But it's a good game. It's a great game to watch. We were myself and Gareth were actually talking about there's a Boston team there. I think they're called the Boston Demons. We were talking about playing them in a game there sometime. I think I saw some teams up in Canada have been doing it. But yeah, it's a good game. It's pretty much, if I remember right, it's like Gaelic football, but you can rugby tackle. And there's a hilarious clip there years ago of a Jack Russell. Do you remember that one, Gareth?
I was at that game.
Yeah. Jack Russell ran onto the field during the international rules game. They couldn't get it off for about 2 or 3 minutes, I would say. And the dog actually got a touch on the ball and everything.
But it's the Aussie rules is or the international rules is an interesting one because it kind of feeds off both clubs, right? Because both of them are in different seasons. So when I was talking to the lads in the Boston Demons, their like nationals are in like, I think it's October.
Yeah,
so it's not really in our season. You know, when we're thinking of like the Gaelic football season, we're talking about the summer, you know, and then we've got nationals in August. Then we're kind of like, all right, where do we go from here? You know, that Aussie rules then is a good, like, you know, hey, let's just keep it going. We feed off each other. You know, two clubs are better than one. Feed off each other. You get the benefits of getting new players. They get the benefits of getting Gaelic footballers. You know, that's obviously going to help for the skill of that game. So, yeah, I think like kind of partnering with those Aussie rule clubs are a fantastic idea. And I think it's something that more clubs should be looking into. So with 30 lads, 60 registered players, how many teams have you got put in this year?
We're 2 teams. So we're hoping this would be the first year in club history that we'd send 2 teams to nationals. So our first team would be in the intermediate division. And kind of like we were talking about, I think before we started taping, is trying to figure out where we can place that second team, whether that's junior B or would it be junior C. But either way, it's been a big, you know, point of emphasis for the club this year to try and make sure that we can get 2 full teams out to Denver.
Makes an awful difference though, having 2 teams, you know, having that first team that you can really take seriously, and then the second team that's a bit more about development and having a good time and all that, and picking up, you know, the basics.
Yeah, I think especially in terms of, you know, recruitment, trying to get, you know, non-Irish. The good thing about our first team becoming so strong and kind of improving every year is that, you know, we're able to contend for trophies at, you know, higher and higher levels. You know, the downside of that is when you are trying to recruit new guys to come out, it's, you know, it's difficult for someone who's never really experienced the game before to just jump right into training with, you know, guys who played senior level and, you know, won all Ireland finals. So the fact that especially this year we've been getting really, really strong numbers out at practice and training, where that second team really can have a full session of, you know, 15, 20 guys, you know, kind of more dedicated to improving, you know, your basic skills and learning the game and learning the rules. It's been huge for the club.
You've obviously had a decent amount of success now, but what would you say are the biggest challenges your club faces both on and off the field?
Well, yeah, well, on the field in LA, we don't have any full-size GA pitches. So that's one thing where it's a kind of a false sense of security playing on the turf fields that are high school American football pitches. And, you know, if you're playing the half back line, you're kicking 4 or 5 points from play. And then you go to Boston, let's say, or Chicago, and it's a full-size pitch. It's a different sport almost. So all our games here on the turf field. So that's why we always try and get up to San Francisco at least once a year. They have full-size pitches. And then just as well, the fact LA, it's so sprawled as a city. Guys live live everywhere. That some guys have an hour and a half commute to get to training, so it's a big commitment for those.
I think I would also add that in terms of like our preparation for nationals, it's tough sometimes for us to get kind of the number of games that you might, you know, be able to get in a Chicago or a Boston or San Francisco, where you guys have a full league where you can play all summer. You know, here in Southern California, it's just us, the Orange County Geese, and San Diego as well. So, you know, I think as a club, we've done a good job of, like Tom saying, getting up to San Francisco once a year. And, you know, this Austin weekend is going to be a good experience for the club. But just getting more than 3 or 4, you know, quality game experiences before you enter, you know, a national tournament, I think has been a challenge for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We, I mean, obviously we're very lucky up here in the Northeast. You know, we have, I mean, a lot of clubs in one small region, you know, so, you know, except for, so we're in Worcester, which is like an hour outside Boston. But then in addition to that, you have Hartford, which is about an hour and a half outside Boston. And then you have Portland, Maine. So in our division is, there's 2 Boston teams, Hartford, Worcester, and Portland. So actually this weekend we have our first championship game up in Portland. But anytime we want games, I mean, there's 20 clubs we can call to say, hey, listen, do you just want a game this weekend? Do you just want a friendly? That's fantastic to have. I can see, so we talk with the Midwest division, sometimes for their games, they're traveling 7-8 hours just for a game, and it's really challenging. It can hurt development because, if you're not playing games, there's what's the motivation to play, for one tournament a year? That's, for me, that just doesn't do it. I want to have, multiple games a year, maybe multiple tournaments, something that's going to keep the wheels turning, something to bring the lads back to. Because again, you might lose them in August once nationals, come next year, we're back in, obviously New England's a little different with the weather, but if we get back here in April, May, they've already played another sport. They're done. I guess that's one of the advantages of the West Coast, where you have that nice weather all year round. So if you wanted to do a sevens tournament, a nines tournament, yes, it's not the same, but at least you're keeping the lads and the ladies together and keeping practice going, etc. I know, Tom, you have obviously some great memories from Gaelic football, but maybe a great memory from your time, one of your best memories from your time at the Cougars.
It was probably the second year I was involved when the Nationals, it was in Washington, D.C., and we won Junior C. We played against this team, I think, from Philadelphia, Delco Gales. Do you know that? Yeah, and they're American, all American young guys. And since then, I think they've won the Nationals each of the last couple of years. Like they won Junior C, Junior B last year. So, but when we played them, that was in 2019. They were just a bunch of 20-year-olds and couldn't believe how good they were at the game. And we found it so tough. We were like the older cranky lads trying to throw our weight around, and we won that game just by the skin of our teeth. But that was probably the highlight in my time here. Really outside of last year, obviously 2 years ago, we lost the final to Madison. That was a disappointment. And then last year, Donegal, Boston. I don't know if we'll touch on that, but that was probably 2019. The win in Junior C was definitely the highlight. You were playing that day, Ben?
Yeah, that was a great game.
Yeah,
and it was funny, Tom. I kind of remember, like you're saying, I think we had a lead, and they were coming back, and I think if that game had gone on another 3.5 minutes, they probably would have beat us. But
yeah.
Thankfully the time expired, and we were able to lift the trophy that day. It's great.
Nationals, I remember we going into it, and there was a few of the Irish lads, and we were so complacent. We were going in to play Junior C, and we, kind of laughing and joke and think we were going to stroll through the weekend. And the first game we played on the Friday morning, and it was against the Cayman Islands, and it was lashing rain, and it was, I think the throw-in was at 8 or 8:30 a.m., and it was a cracker of a game. We were 2 points down at half time, and I remember walking in thinking, holy God, I didn't think it was going to be this tough. And we ended up, again, similar to the final, just scraping through with the skin of our teeth. But they had a very strong team that year. I think the PwC, or an accountancy company, have an office there, and that's why they were so strong. And then we actually, on the Saturday, we beat Denver, where the Nationals is this year, and then on the Sunday we beat the Philadelphia team.
Ben, do you want to kick us off with one for you?
I think I probably have to piggyback off of Tom. That 19 experience in DC was pretty awesome, and for me that was my first season playing, so I think it was kind of doubly special. And it was like kind of going back to the fact that we don't really get enough game. We don't have really a full season to play here. So one of the kind of unique things about the Cougars is it's really almost like a one weekend season, where, again, I know in the Northeast there, you guys kind of have a full league and you can always get a game. For us, every time we train, every time, we play San Diego or Orange County, we're really talking about how this is, at the end of the day, it's preparation for nationals. So we put a lot of emphasis on the tournament in August. So for me, just being new to the game and the 5 months leading up to actually be able to get it done that weekend with, a good group of guys. And then seeing the after party tent for the first time with with pints and drinking out of the cup. That was a pretty cool experience. I think that's probably what got me hooked and why I'm still playing, 4 odd years later.
I was actually out there that weekend there in Virginia. We probably saw you in the tent there. We won the Junior B hurling that day. So
wow.
Yeah, everybody was well on it inside in that tent, weren't they? It was good time down there.
After party's the best bit. We have that. I don't know if you've watched some of the prior episodes, but we talk a lot about that. 75%, 25% ball, 75% crack. One of the boys actually made a shirt. He's actually sending me up a bunch. It'll have the North America Gaelic football on the back of it, 25% ball. With like the Gaelic football, 75% crack. So pretty excited for that one.
Yeah. So lads, can you talk a bit about your division and like what your calendar looks like typically in a year there?
Yeah. So our division, I would say most of our games are played against either Orange County, the Geese, or San Diego Setanta. And I would say most years we try and do at least a home and home with each. Yeah, we'll call it 4, maybe 5 games in a good year. 3 years ago, I guess, or 2 years ago, we started doing our annual San Francisco trip, which Tom referenced earlier, which has been great for us, which we usually do in July. The team generally starts training in about March. In years past, we've started doing beach training. It's just kind of like a fun, way to start the LA season by doing some fitness workouts on Saturday mornings down at the beach here in Santa Monica, and then really kind of get after it on the field in earnest, kind of more in April. And then really, again, it's all kind of preparation for us for nationals come August.
There's an idea for a tournament there, beach Gaelic football. I'm not sure how you'd work it exactly, but definitely something I wouldn't mind trying out.
That would be awesome. I'm sure we'd get a ton of teams to fly in for it.
In LA, now that's now we're talking. I'd be out in Santa Monica Pier, no problem. So I love it out there.
That tournament might be 75% crack and 25% ball.
I mean, talking about clubs in your division, would you consider yourselves having like a big rivalry? Obviously, some of the the Northeast clubs have pretty big rivalries. Would you have a significant rival that would be a little heated games here and there?
Yeah, well, definitely the Wild Geese in Orange County. We've had some definitely tough battles with them, but it's pretty amicable, I must say. And San Diego kind of developed a bit of a rivalry with them lads as well. But I wouldn't say there's the same, nastiness that you might get back home or maybe in the Northeast. Again, might have something to do with the championship not having that. But no, we've had a few tasty affairs with the Geese in San Diego the last couple of years. But at the same time, the more you get to know the guys, the kind of the less heated the games become. So they would be, and then Austin this weekend, we haven't played them before. Dallas last year, we played them for the first time. So it's really the Geese and San Diego are the only two teams who we'd be the most familiar with, but we're hoping to, expand that with the Texas teams and then San Francisco teams over the next few years.
Ben, I know you have a player in one of them other teams that you're just like, I can't wait to get ahead of him. Come on, Ben. I'm waiting on you here. We're counting on you.
Some of the midfielders on the Geese definitely have gotten the better of us over the years. I mean, what's kind of interesting, Gareth, is like, the three of us between the Cougars, Orange County, and San Diego, while we've played each other a lot over the years, I'm not sure there's ever been a year, Tom, maybe you would remember, that we've all played at the actual same division. So, as our club, kind of came from a distant third, and, Orange County used to beat up on us pretty good. That's kind of flipped a little bit where we're, the last couple of years we've gotten the better of them. So there was 1 or 2 years there in the middle where, both teams were kind of a very similar level and we had some really competitive matches, but really amongst the three clubs, we've all kind of been bouncing back and forth between different divisions and different quality, sort of depending on who's playing that season.
How does it work? So I take it you're automatically placed into the nationals. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, and like I said, it's kind of up to the club's discretion. Like if you feel pretty good about your squad, you might choose to go up a division. So it's a different setup to the northeast. So we're feeling pretty good about ourselves this year. So we're in intermediate.
It sounds like it's a more community out there as a whole. It's more of like a good camaraderie between all the different clubs, where everybody's kind of like everybody's in the same, everybody's in the same lane and just aiming for the same thing for each club to get better, which is great to see. Although sometimes you like that rivalry, but it's also good to see other clubs around you doing well too. Because you want to see other clubs being successful, growing. We like to say some of the rivals in our division, it's not bitter. Like what happens on the field, you keep it between the white lines, but when they're growing and putting more teams in and have ladies teams, like I'm just saying for Hartford in Connecticut, they started a ladies football team this year. They started a ladies camogie team. They have the men's football, they have men's hurling. So it's great to see clubs like that, and you wish nothing but the best for them. You obviously, for us, we aim for that same, almost that's the rivalry kicks in, was like, all right, they started a ladies team, we have to do it as well. That kind of, but no, it's great to see, and obviously that camaraderie is very important in the Gaelic football community.
Just a question for yourself there, Ben. You said you've found the Cougars online there. Just curious, like what drew you to Gaelic football, or what exactly got you in the door there?
I think I said earlier on the pod, but getting to spend 6 months in college in Dublin, I was introduced to the sport there, and not playing it, but just being able to watch it a few times. And then, frankly, when I was sitting home bored one night, I was like, I wonder if there's a Gaelic football team here in LA. And sure enough, there was, and they had a legit website and social media, and I was like, wow, this must be a well-run organization. So hopped on it that way.
Yeah. I have to give kudos to the website. It actually is pretty slick. Myself and Connor's been on it a couple of times, and once you click in, they have that like drone over the field. It's actually pretty cool. So whoever's on that, nice job on that, and keep that going, because obviously, there's one thing you saw it like when you Google the GA club, the first thing you see is a sharp, tidy website. It's like, oh, they must be pretty official, right? Who knows, that club could have been 3 people.
Right.
No, but so let's talk a little bit about this weekend. So obviously we've got a big tournament coming up. Can you talk a little bit about the tournament, some of the teams that's going to be there, and maybe some of the teams you're excited to get up against?
Yeah, the tournament's being hosted by Celtic Cowboys, the Austin club. Dallas will have a team there, and Houston and Mexico City just formed a team, so they're coming up to play as well. And it'll kind of be 2 tiers for the games. There'll be ourselves, Dallas, and Austin. We'll have our first teams playing, and then our second team are traveling, and then you'll have Houston and Mexico playing off in kind of a second tier. So it's the first year that it's been organised, and again, we're very excited to be going, getting more games against quality opposition. Austin were intermediate last year. We played Dallas in Junior A last year, so 2 very, very good teams. And it's the perfect preparation for nationals, getting a couple of hours on a flight to travel and the time difference. So it's just the perfect simulator getting ready for nationals. Like that, we'll enjoy a bit of barbecue then after on Saturday and Sunday.
I'd say there'd be not much ball kicked on them junior levels. The streets of Austin, a bunch of Irish lads out there, and it's like, Jesus, I went for a football tournament, didn't even lace up the boots. But Ben, are you going to be playing yourself?
I am, yeah. We're fired up to go. Like Tom was saying, it's a really good experience for us, and we're trying to, as a club, and certainly as a first team, we're trying to take this, kind of as seriously as possible, at least until 3:00 on Saturday, when the boys might be hitting the streets and, eating and drinking, but the chance to get 2 games in against teams in our division, teams that, one we played last year, and one we've got a really good chance to play this year at the intermediate level in nationals, is just kind of experience that we don't really get a chance to do very much. So we're trying to get as much out of it on the field as we can. And then again, certainly hope to enjoy some fun off the field as well after.
Yeah. No, it's great. There's definitely an uptick in these tournaments, and it's definitely noticing some more of them going on. You'll have to repay the favor to Mexico City there. Gareth has been talking about putting a tournament together down there, maybe in January or something like that.
That'd be incredible.
Yeah.
Cancun, though. So just to make it easier, more of a central location. People on the East Coast can come down to Cancun. That'd be the ideal trip. Connor just touched base on there. There is more and more of those tournaments popping up, and I think it's fantastic to see. Because why should a season be all catered around nationals, right? We understand that's that's the Sam McGuire of the USGA, right? But for a lot of these junior clubs, it's like, all right, they might play 1 game on a Friday and Saturday, and then that's it. It's done. More of these tournaments that are popping up. Chicago just had one there at the weekend, and you had a team from Pittsburgh and stuff that flew off for it. Jersey had a tournament. I think I saw South Carolina had a tournament. So it's fantastic to actually see more and more junior tournaments picking up. I would almost like to see more senior tournaments popping up, just so more of like the senior homegrown clubs are getting more involved as well. 'Cause I feel like there's such an emphasis on let's just say the Northeast here, for an example. Northeast, there is such a heavy emphasis on winning that specific division. But then when it comes to the nationals, it doesn't really have the same meaning, so they go there with maybe half a team. So why not have more of these senior tournaments to make it more? And I feel like when you have more of the home base lads playing, it's more meaningful for the home base lads because they're here, right? So a lot of the lads that are coming over for the summer, yes, it's meaningful, but this isn't their home club. They go back and they play with, Nafina in Dublin, or, St. John Bosco up in Newry, or Ballybricken in Limerick. You're here for a summer. That's, it's your home away from home, but it's not my club. So the home base lads, it's almost they take it a lot more serious. So that's one thing I would love to see, a lot more of those tournaments. And hey, listen, if you just want to throw together a beach Santa Monica 9s tournament, 7s tournament, hey, listen, Worcester Fenians will definitely put a team in. We'll have to clear it by the powers that be, but I'm sure a few lads will be no problem traveling out to it.
Well, we'll have to get Gags on that, Tomo. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
we were even talking about who were we talking with last week? The Mardi Gras sevens, all for it. The smash-filled sevens. We need to start making these happen, lads. So I'd love to see more those weekend tournaments, and obviously, they're doing something right down there in the Texas area, because you see, obviously Houston Gales is another one that's popping up. Obviously, you have the Cowboys there. You have San Diego, California. So there's teams popping up literally everywhere. So, do you see that in both
Toronto, Gareth?
There is, yeah. I think they've actually traveled to the USGAs before. I'm not sure if they have lately. So I used to play with the McInnesby's in Boston, and we actually played the Toronto team in a friendly game back before COVID. But I'm not sure. I'm pre-COVID, I'm pretty sure they used to travel to USGA tournaments. But since COVID, they haven't really been traveling down. So, because the Cayman Islands technically aren't part of the USGA, but they get invited in every year. So I'm sure there's something where, the Toronto club. I know there's a couple of Vancouver clubs as well that maybe get invited too. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would love to see more of them clubs traveling down. Obviously, there's a big Irish population up in Toronto, British Columbia. Obviously, there's a good population in a lot of them big cities, and especially for visas, it's a lot easier. I know from talking to some of the boys, a lot easier getting a visa to Canada than sometimes it could be here for the States. So there's a lot of the Irish flocking to some of them big cities there. But yeah, I mean, I think it would be a great idea to see some of those Canadian clubs. Now we've got Mexico City, so why not open it up to the whole North American region? That's kind of the whole idea behind our podcast is like, why does it have to be, US GA podcast when there is clubs popping up from, look at Mexico City, look at the Cayman Islands, there is those clubs in Canada as well. And more exposure for them too would be fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I'd be even interested in going up to a tournament up in Canada. Like, the hell with it. Let's do it up there too. Or put like a regional, do like the soccer they do, like Mexico, the US, Canada. Do like get the best team in Canada against US and then Mexico as well. That'd be great crack.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I think the USGA will have a team that they're going to enter into the All-Ireland Junior Championship. Isn't that right?
Correct. Yeah. Ben's shaking his head there. He's all over that idea, huh?
There he is.
I'm ready to rock. Let's get over there. Let's get over there.
Now, Ben, there's trials in Chicago. I believe it's October, right?
October, yeah. I'm hopefully going to be able to go, and I think we're going to try and send 3 or 4 of the American guys from our club. If nothing else, just kind of keep building the brand nationally. But if any of us can get on that team, I think it'd be a really cool experience to go to actually get to play in Ireland and kind of take this back to where the game started. It'd be pretty awesome.
Tom, how would you I mean, obviously playing at a very high level at home, how would you rate that junior American team? Because there is a lot of phenomenal talent here. Obviously you see it on the West Coast. We see it here in the Northeast with, Irish lads, like some of them with Irish parents, but some of them that's never kicked the ball, that maybe grew up here and has never seen football and just have picked it up really well, just natural athletes. How do you think those lads will compete in a junior championship at home?
Yeah, I think they'd be well able to hold their own. Like I said, some of our best players are Americans, and then you have the likes of Delco Gales from Philadelphia, who are phenomenal homegrown American talent, I guess. And then I know there was another guy from Boston. I remember watching one of the games last year. I don't know, you might know him, guys. He was I think he scored 4 goals in one of the games. He was an American guy, but definitely the talent is there. It's just the challenge of bringing them all together and from all corners of the US. That's just the travel logistics. That would be the biggest challenge, but no doubt they would be competitive and well able to hold their own in a junior championship back home. The other thing would be
I think it'd be
15-a-side as well would be a big difference.
I actually never thought about the 15-a-side, because obviously we're used to the 13s here. So really going back into that 15-a-side where you're used to that big open space in the full forward line, that could definitely be a factor. But, it's obviously them 15-a-side still going to be a big field. So a lot of these American kids are just athletes, and they'll run all day. We have a couple on our team. Same thing as you, Ben. They played soccer pretty high level. They played a bit of basketball as well. And just, that natural, being able to pick up both of them sports, it almost is like the perfect match for Gaelic football. And if you're fit, especially at junior C level, junior C is a lot of it's just about fitness. Can you get up and down the field? Can you do the simple pass? Or get it into your full forward. We have a big lad from Sligo who you just put it in front of him and just let him do the rest. But yeah, some of the American kids we have are phenomenal, and a couple of them are actually up playing with. So in the Boston division, you can actually go up. An American kid can go up and play at a higher level just to challenge themselves, and if they wanted to go and play at a senior level, they have that option as well. But they're holding their own in intermediate and senior level. With some, look at the lads that are coming out from Ireland. You had, on that Mac and Espy's team, we had, I'm not sure if you know, Tom, Robert Croft. from Dublin. He plays for the Mac and
I saw
Espies.
some of that.
But at one stage in that game, but he was saying at one stage there was 4 American-born lads on the field at a senior. And look at the players that were playing for that Donegal team. You had Shane Carthy. That's obviously you would know him from home. But they had a stacked team that year. Both teams were pretty good, but to have 4 American-born players on the field at one time against a senior club at Donegal, that's pretty impressive. So I have no doubt that an American team will go over, and I think they'll make noise. I think they'll do very well, and I think they're. I don't give them too much doubt that they'll come home with a trophy.
I tell guys all the time that if you kind of grow up American, even not playing Gaelic football, I have no idea even it exists. But if you play basketball, if you play football, if you play soccer, especially, kind of the mix of all those sports and the skills that you pick up, they translate really well. And once you can kind of learn the finer, mechanics of how Gaelic football actually works, whether it's, picking it off the ground or the solo, everything else, sort of the base, athleticism that you've learned playing American sports translates really, really well. So if, for guys that can pick it up in their early 20s, I think it's the learning curve's not terribly steep. So I think we could definitely put together a decent American team and, hopefully go challenge over there. So
yeah, lads, where do you see your involvement now in Gaelic football for the short term and long term?
I hope to keep playing as long as I can, as long as the body allows it.
Yeah.
I turned 30 this past year, and you can start to feel a little more aches and pains that might not have been there when you're 25.
You're still a pup.
But I think it's great, and I think one of the things that's cool about our club is we've got guys playing in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. So particularly as much as I love playing on the field, just being part of the community and, having a group of guys to hang out with off the field is sometimes just as important. So, I hope to be involved with the sport for, again, as long as I possibly can. I think it's great.
And Ben, I just follow up with that. I guess I just have a good question to follow up on that. As your experience for an American kid, obviously you came out of college. What was it that drawed you? What was that drawed you to the idea of Gaelic football? Was it that, obviously Gaelic football is very competitive, but it's like the right amount of competitiveness, but with the community aspect. Do you think those two are like very equally important, especially coming out of college? Because other sports, you don't really. I feel like you don't have that competitiveness, where people are looking for. You might have a Sunday league soccer game or a pickup soccer league, but there's no real like competitive sport with a community aspect to it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty well said, Gareth. For me personally, growing up here in the States, everyone wants to play college sports. That's kind of like our pinnacle, unless you're, on the professional track, which most people aren't. So for me, getting to play soccer in college was kind of it was kind of the highest level I knew I was going to be able to play at. And I had a tremendous experience actually playing there at Tufts University in Boston. So, in my 20s, I wasn't having as much fun playing soccer. It was, there's either guys who are taking it far too seriously and on a Sunday league, and you're like, I don't know about this. Or, there's kind of the other end of the spectrum where it's co-ed, which is fun, but, you're not kind of getting that competitive itch scratched. So I thought it was kind of fun to have a new challenge, to learn a new game. And then also when you kind of factor in, once I realized how important sort of the community aspect is to Gaelic football, even some of the traditions, like after the game, going over and, thanking the other club for the game, I think is really cool and unique. And, it's kind of part of the Irish culture. And it's just something that's so different than what you'd find in American sports culture. I've just always really, really appreciated that and, gravitated to it sort of the minute I kind of started to realize how important it all is.
Yeah, well, I guess for the on-field this year, winning intermediate nationals would be the main goal for us and for me, and hopefully I have a couple of more years to play after this. But even I think in the short term as well, if we could get a crack at senior, I'd love to get a crack at senior at nationals and up against the Boston, Chicago, San Fran teams. So we've a lot of work to do to get to that level, and we might need the help of a couple of young J1 lads as well. But I don't think it's beyond us. San Diego were a great example last year, representing our division in senior. But like that, I think I'll always be, even after playing, I'll always be involved in the GA, whether it's coaching or managerial or board level, just because it's, like you said, there's the community aspect. And some of my best friends here in LA, they're in the GA community, so I'll always be involved in some way or another.
So Ben, if just to piggyback off that question, so if you had, maybe a friend or somebody you worked with that was thinking of getting involved with Gaelic football, what advice would you have for them?
I think the main advice is just try it. Because most guys that come to our training sessions, not everyone sticks, but so many people that show up are kind of immediately, they get that same spark in the eye that I had. Because it's hard to try the game and not have fun doing it. Especially with, I can't speak to other clubs, but with this group of guys who are very, very inclusive, especially to beginners. The most important thing is just to try it. No one's going to, make fun of you because you pick it off the ground without, using your foot, and you can't solo. And, we've had so many more guys, especially this season, come out and try it. And, you can see them sticking around and getting better each week. It's just all about, getting over the hump of trying a new game.
Yeah. Like our club, it's one of our main goals is the inclusivity of local Americans, and we'd encourage them to come out. And like I said, the soccer, especially if guys have played soccer or basketball, is very transferable to Gaelic football. We've also a couple of guys who would have played American football in high school and college, and they're just so tough, and they love Gaelic football because of that competitiveness. And they mightn't have the softer skills like someone who played soccer or basketball, but they're very tough. They might find themselves in the full back line rather than the full forward line. But that's one of the big goals is for our club, is always to encourage the guys, the local guys, to come down and take part. And as well, just the Irish community, we're very friendly by nature, and they always just seem to blend in and feel very welcome whenever they show up as well.
Yeah, so I just want to thank the two boys, Ben and Tom, for coming on, and best of luck to the Cougars for the season. And big thanks to our sponsors, Masita, and everyone that's listening out there. If you like this episode, do us a favor. If you could leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you can do, we appreciate it. And thanks, and we'll catch you next time.